ShuOnHead. We're back here again, ladies and gentlemen, where I go ahead and I react to a ShuOnHead video. This one I think is their most popular video, if not one of their most popular videos, titled The Male Loneliness Epidemic. This has almost 4 million views. I have seen so many of my friends react to this video, and I apparently have watched this video according to my YouTube history, but I don't remember. So maybe my TV played it at night or something. I'm not sure. My point is, what is the male loneliness epidemic? I guess we're gonna find out. I guess I will add my opinions and commentary to this piece of media, and we'll see whether or not this is a real phenomenon, needs to be solved, and or something that I disagree with. We'll just find out right now.
I regret to inform you, the men are not okay. That's right, folks. The men are not okay. The men have no friends, no girlfriend, no college education, no money, are breaking their legs and inserting metal rods into their bones to be a few inches taller, and listening to AI Batman help them overcome their pornography addictions.
You deserve real love.
Turns out the society that was built by and allegedly for men has indeed let them down. Now you might be thinking, oh look, another boo-hoo poor men video by ShuOnHead.
Okay, wait, hold on. That is crazy. I'm still stuck on the fact that the man actually put a metal rod in himself to make himself taller. Why would you do that, my guy? You are tall enough, okay? You need to embrace that you're a short king and just tell people that you're tall enough, because you know what? You'll find someone that actually thinks that you're tall enough, and then things will work out. Because why would you ruin the sanctity of your body, your temple, to just be taller?
Yes. And if you have a problem with that, tune into literally anything else. Men are in a crisis, and it seems nobody really cares. And the people who do care just seem like the people who want to sell them shit. Not me. I'm different. So before we get into this, let's quickly get into today's sponsor. Today's sponsor is...
Oh, she actually has a sponsor. That's crazy. We're gonna go ahead and we're gonna do this.
The ad.
Why are men and boys struggling? And what should we do about it?
A few new studies have come out that have shown that young men are more lonely and single than ever before. But it's not just men. The women and children, too. It's predicted 45% of women will be single and childless by 2030. But according
Dear God, that is a huge margin.
to the media, this is a good thing. The sheconomy is booming, as they say. And meanwhile, men being single is treated like this.
New study explains why some single men are having a hard time finding a new partner.
Some of the music that they listen to speaks very derogatory.
Right. Yeah, men, stop listening to that derogatory music. Then
You know, I will say, maybe I agree with the media on this one, but like there is a lot of derogatory music out there. I don't think that that's what's causing you to be single, but like the majority of the music is just kind of derogatory in today's standards. So maybe it's just the music that I've heard, because there definitely is like city pop. City pop's not derogatory. I don't think city pop would be derogatory.
maybe you won't be single. I don't know. I think men and women being single and lonely kind of shows there might be something wrong with society. Perhaps we should address this, not just wave it off as empowering or pathetic. According to several different articles, I love how that's my source, I read about it on the internet, research shows that people from individualist countries show a greater sense of loneliness. This is linked to socioeconomic development, increased education, a shift towards white-collar jobs, and urbanization. Japan also has an issue with loneliness. In fact, they have a whole movement of people they call the hikikomori.
I actually don't believe that Japan has a loneliness problem, because when I was in Japan, I swear to you, every single time I went anywhere, a majority of the people seem to be in relationships, healthy ones at that too. I feel like our perceptions as foreigners about Japan are mostly wrong. I'm gonna say it.
Say that right? I don't care. Basically, postmodern hermits. Mostly young men who completely withdraw from society, secluding themselves in their rooms for months and years at a time. In 2010, there was an estimated 700,000 hikikomori in Japan. And today, it's estimated to be about 1.55 million. And because
To be fair though, like I think I would be classified as a hikikomori as well, because I just don't leave the house in general. Like realistically, I leave the house like twice a month, and it's only if I like have to go somewhere. Like tomorrow I'm picking up Tate from the airport, so I have to leave. Like when my friend gets here, she and I are gonna go out, and so like I will have to do that. But like realistically speaking, if I don't have to leave the house, I'm not going to, right? Like I will choose to stay at home.
Because of things like this, people aren't having babies, so Japan's population has been in a sharp decline since 2011. It's gotten so bad that Japan even produces videos of live-action women staring into the camera to help the hikikomori learn to cope with eye contact and reintegrate them back into society. So
Is this a real thing? Okay, so I got on a weird side of YouTube recently where I was noticing a lot of these videos popping into my timeline where they were genuinely just women pretending to be like your girlfriend or whatever in the form of like a YouTube video. So like wow, okay, that explains a lot of why I was seeing that. I don't know why I was in my recommended though. Is YouTube trying to tell me something?
So basically, if you want to know America's future, look no further than Japan. A lot of people, including myself, blame this partially on the rise of social media and technology. RIP to the king. Although technology makes things easier, it can also make us more atomized. Why go to the mall when I can just tap, 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 buy a new microphone and have it shipped to me in a day? Why hang out with friends?
The fact that she films her videos on a Blue Yeti is just still so crazy to me, because the Blue Yeti is often seen as an entry-level microphone. She got $4 million on a Blue Yeti and a webcam. I'm just $4 million, 4 million views, which is crazy. That equates to, how long is this video? Wow, that is a lot of money. I'm not gonna say how much, but that is a lot of money.
When I can get all my social interaction I need from Twitter and streamers. Why go on dates and bother meeting women when I can just tap, 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 Google big boob and get 2 million results? Or see my high school crush's whole on OnlyFans for only $5. Instant dopamine, instant satisfaction.
$5 is cheap, dude. Belle Delphine, this is like $40 a month.
And hey, who even needs a real woman when you could just have an AI girlfriend? We're f***ed. We're so f***ed. Dating apps really are the great Satan, and I'm convinced they've completely broken men's brains. Women on dating apps are picky. Women in general are picky, and I mean, naturally we are pickier. You know, we're the ones who carry the babies. At least for now. But on dating apps, you have to admit, it's a little insane. It's safe to say that the commodification of love and the window shopping of dating apps probably has to do a lot with the rise of lonely single men. Men are not just lonely when it comes to dating, they're lonely when it comes to friendship too. According to Vox,
yeah, it kind of like baffles me that a lot of men just don't seem to have friends, right? Because like I grew up in an environment where, like, I guess for me it might be easier. I met online friends, and I do consider a lot of those people to be friends, and also I have gone out of my way to meet those people in person and just do things with them. Because like if you guys have seen the memes, there are memes sometimes of like what men consider a good hangout session is, and it's just like 5 dudes, a couch, a TV, maybe on the floor, or maybe on like a TV stand, just like laying Super Smash Brothers Brawl, right? Like for us, that is the best night ever, right? Like, you know, maybe add pizza and drinks, and then the night is like a 20 out of 10, you know? Like even the chat's like, that sounds baller, right? Like that, like for us, that's all we need, dude. And it baffles me when there are dudes out there that don't have that. That's a little wild to me.
Americans are currently in a friendship recession, and men are being hit the hardest. The percentage of men who reported having at least 6 close friendships fell in half since the 90s. 1 in 5 men say they have no close friendships. Looking at all these statistics,
that's
the
insane.
Explosion of figures like Andrew Tate is not surprising at all.
I believe being a man is a blessing because it starts so difficult. I believe that every man is born without any value at all. I think that the world's never going to think you're important unless you make yourself important.
And recently, a new study came out about how young men are moving towards the right. And every other month,
Yeah, I think that men are kind of cooked, right? Like with influencers like Andrew Tate or heck, any of the kick influencers, right? Like Jack Doherty and a bunch of the other guys that are just doing stuff like, you know, policing and owning women. I don't want to say the term, you know, but you know what I mean. Like it really sucks because a lot of these young boys are being influenced by them on what they should do with women. And I really do heavily worry as a society that we are going down the wrong path, right?
The liberal, sockdem, leftist, whatever you want to call the space online, performs the same song and dance. What's wrong with men? Why is this happening? Why don't we have a leftist Andrew Tate? We need to push men to the left. Andrew Tate rarely, if ever, talks about politics. Andrew Tate talks about men, and the left only talks about men when they talk about Andrew Tate. A few months ago, during one of the monthly song and dances, some progressive people I follow made the mistake of addressing men's issues, and the even bigger mistake of pointing their finger at their own spaces for not doing enough to address said men's issues.
Recently, there were some statistics by healthcare company Cigna indicating that men are the loneliest generation. And addressing it doesn't mean that you turn your back on issues pertaining to women, but it does mean that we should be focused on what it is in society that is leading to this epidemic, what the left can do to offer solutions, and how we can basically fight back against the more nefarious figures who have filled the void that men are struggling with. People like
that actually kind of checks out and makes sense, right? Because like there are not enough people saying or giving men positive affirmations that men, and hell, the little boys in particular, little like teenage boys, whatever you want to call them, they gravitate towards people like Andrew Tate because there's just no one else affirming them, right? Like, and I can see how like Andrew Tate can definitely be someone that people easily attach to, because like, if you listen to Andrew Tate, right? If you listen to Andrew Tate, he comes off as someone that speaks very knowledgeable about certain situations, and like he makes sense, right? But then if you really listen to Andrew Tate, he'll start off a conversation being like, hey, this is why you're failing to do this and why you're struggling to do this in your life and this and this. And it's like, okay, Andrew Tate, you're making a lot of sense. This makes sense. Like you are making good points. And then he'll come out of left field and be like, and this is why you should never allow your wife to do this, because she'll ruin it for you, all right? She is yours. She belongs to you. And you're like, whoa, Andrew Tate, calm down. We were just talking about how to make tacos in the morning.
Jordan Peterson and what have you. Now, recently, Vosh, who's a popular streamer, had tweeted this thread that I think is really, really important to address. He writes, I cannot stress enough how important it is to understand that 12-year-old white boys on Twitch are not being pulled into fascism because of some Machiavellian desire to preserve and expand their privileges. It's because the right talks to them and the left doesn't.
The responses to these tweets and this content were very normal, level-headed, and respectful. Me when I lie.
Oh no.
LMAO, cry about it. Boo f***ing who? Oh no, poor widow men having problems. Boo f***ing who? Grow the f*** up then.
I mean, people are having these responses and saying these now, but the reality of the situation is Vosh might be kind of right. Like, we're not going to have to live with the consequences today, but we're probably going to have to live with the consequences like 20, 30 years from now, right? Like what is happening? Like, hear me out. I think as a society, millennials and Gen Z, we kind of like healed in a certain regard, but like anything past Gen Z, they're cooked. They're kind of screwed because they're going back to the ideologies and the way of thinking that men in like the 1950s thought of, where they were like, hey, look, you're my wife, you have to do what I say type thing, right? Like society is going backward, I think, in that regard. Now, that being said, I think a lot of those men will never really find love because women just won't be with them, right? But the fact that they'll think that way is still very, very bad, right? If that makes sense. They don't have the money to do it anymore. I say we're feeling it now as femme, things just feel so tense at the time with men in public, at least in my area. And you know what? You're probably right about that. Maybe the effects already started now. And it sucks. It absolutely does suck. Like the fact that I heard from a friend recently when I was having a conversation with her that someone asked her on a date and she had zero interest in going on a date with this person, but she said yes. And I said, what is wrong with you? Why would you say yes? She said, well, he's a guy. If I tell him no, he'll become obsessed and he might hurt me or something, right? And I was like, that is rough. That genuinely does suck. You think that is just what's gonna happen, right? But it's true. A lot of them just do think that. A lot of them think that if they tell a man no, it'll suck for them. So they just have to say yes and go through with it, as bad as it is, right? Dudes will guilt you if they don't get it. Yeah, no, God, it's such an awful way, but like that's just where we are right now as a society, right? Yes, some of them can't handle rejection. It's sad. It's very, very sad. Boys need to be taught better. Like I said, I've said it before, but I was raised in a toxic masculine environment myself where I was told, no means no, try again harder in regards to a woman, which is a horrible way of thinking. And I have absolutely unlearned that. And now when women tell me no, I shut down. I'm like, cool, that's it. That's what you said. No, I back off. Right. And I don't know. I don't know if as a society we can go ahead and we can like teach men how to, properly interact with women.
Have men considered being smarter? I'm enjoying all these sad little moids and their sad little tweets about their sad, pathetic lives. Sounds like a personal problem. Is the lack of compassion for men in the room with us right now?
This doesn't
Maybe
help.
Men are just not good people then. I'm so fucking tired of people trying to make male loneliness a huge societal problem. Yeah, no, their fifis are not my responsibility, and I shouldn't have to be punished because they can't get their shit together as human beings. Grow the up. Why are we trying to win these entitled little predators over? The left isn't for them. That's why they go right in the first place. We're all lonely and
I don't think that these people are recognizing that they're causing the issue to get worse by just shoving men away. Like, these boys are already being told that they need to act a certain way to get the respect of people, a way that is just not what we should be leading them towards. And then you go ahead and further shove them away by being like, yeah, calling them little entitled little predators. That doesn't help. That doesn't help anyone in that regard.
Alienated. It's young men going to the alt-right in droves. The problem isn't our messaging, it's them. It's literally not our problem. Men flock to Andrew Tate not because they're lonely, but because they're bigots. Hope this helps. Nah, it's just misogynists being louder than before and not getting laid. LOL. Cry harder, losers. 90% of all homicides recorded worldwide were committed by male perpetrators. We should just get rid of all males, to be honest. This includes trans women, as they still retain male violence.
What the fuck?
By the way, you know the Tumblr feminists who were like, all men are sexist and rapists, male tears, penises are evil, blah 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 back in the day? Well, this is them now. Should've just let me cook back then. Listen up, chuckle. I'm white, socially awkward, autistic, in my 40s, ugly, overweight, crippled, got a weird balding pattern, and have bad skin. You know what I didn't do? Choose to become a fascist, because I recognize most of the sort that look like me are the problem.
Who is this helping? Literally, who does your statement help? I want to understand what you thought you were doing when you were typing this out, because I genuinely don't get it.
I may be hideously ugly and pathetic, but at least I'm not a fascist. Thank you for your input, buddy. You're, really helping the situation. The reason young men flock to alt-right MRA movements is because the left gives brain-dead advice to young men. We need to be more compassionate to them, for our own sake. I'm sorry, but how is respect women brain-dead advice? What advice? Don't rape? Don't be a rapist is bad advice? Help, I have no friends or community, I feel suicidal. Have you considered not raping? Act like a decent fucking human being. It's not hard. Is brain-dead advice?
I will say that, like, yeah, genuinely, we do just need to teach men to be better human beings. But like, I don't think it is brain dead advice. I think it's just advice that needs to be instilled into them a little bit better.
Dead advice like get consent and don't be a Nazi and women are people. Walking up to men struggling with loneliness and depression like,
kids, don't be racist.
Incredible. Here's my actual advice I would give to my teen boys as a leftist. 1. Always get enthusiastic consent. 2. Save the planet. 3. Don't say that. It's actually kind of racist.
Kind of racist. Hey kids, it's okay to be racist as long as you're only kind of racist, all right? Being a full racist, not cool.
Like, what the f is this? How does this address men and their issues? It doesn't. Why does their advice always seem to be become a liberal? Hey men, here's how to fix all your problems. Agree with me politically. Men flock to the MRA movement because they're the largest beneficiaries of MRA shit. Imagine saying women flock to women's rights activism because they're the biggest beneficiaries of women's rights. Like, no f***ing shit. Let's be honest. Aside from procreation purposes, men have become obsolete. Most women can find other methods of achieving orgasm without a man there.
What does this have to do with it?
As a man, most of us are hard to be around, and I don't blame any woman for just saying, no thanks.
Whose side are you on, my guy? Hello?
Oh my god, dude, this is what every Just Pearly Things tweet looks like to me, just with the genders swapped. This is pathetic. You know what fixes male loneliness? Jerking off. As a man, I'll say this.
Huh?
Sit down, shut up, and beat one out. You'll feel better, I promise.
Again, who are we helping? Are we trying to help these young boys? I don't think we are. I don't think we're achieving anything by saying this stuff. I think, like, if anything, we are just genuinely making it worse. Like, when these teenagers are going out and this is the sort of advice that they're getting, of course they're just gonna go ahead and we're gonna listen to people like Andrew Tate or Jack Doherty or any of those other kick streamers, because like at least those guys are being like, yo, dude, like, do this and this, get your life together. Like, they're giving them proper advice to make them feel better about themselves instead of just saying jerk one out, dude. Like, what? You know?
Yeah, guys, just beat one out. Just off. Just watch porn. Batman will be very disappointed in all of you. It's so funny how men feel entitled to a girlfriend. No, you sexist freak.
Yeah, there are some people who do feel that, and those are bad people. I don't think it's all men though, and I hate to be the guy to say, you know, not all men, because don't get me wrong, like, I understand that there are a majority of men out there that suck, they are terrible, but not all men. People like me exist where I would hope and believe, right, like, I'm not a terrible person, you know? So yeah, maybe that person hasn't heard of post-nut clarity. True.
When one side is like wanting a girlfriend is sexist entitlement, and the other side is like, here's how to get a girlfriend. I don't know, bro. What happened to males just kicking the bucket? Now they just come on here and try to make their loneliness and misery into some social justice issue. Oh, trust me, men are still kicking the bucket. And when they're not giving mind-blowing advice like just to be a liberal, they're outright dismissing men's issues completely. It's not our job to educate them. Since men created the problem, they need to take steps to fix it. We have other things to care about. Men can figure out their own problems that they created. Again, it's not women's jobs to change how men are socialized. It's a man issue and y'all need to address that amongst yourselves. Men created their own problems. Men can solve their own problems. The left is busy.
I don't think that that is a good way of looking at it, right? Because it's like saying, I don't know, man, like if we really want to break it down in the worst possible way of looking at it, right? By saying men created their own problems, right?
Why does the well-being of other people concern me? Leftist, by the way. It's all systemic issues and societal factors and blah, 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 until it's a man and then suddenly it's pull yourselves up by your bootstraps. This problem is just a consequence of the patriarchy. Now take a wild guess about which gender created the patriarchy. Solve your own problems and leave women alone. These people rightly mock the bootstraps rhetoric until the subject is a man, and then it's bootstraps all the way down. They would never talk about any other group this way. It's wild. And it's kind of like both sides are telling men to pull themselves up by their bootstraps, but one is like, I'll show you how, and the other is like, fuck off. And when they're not telling men to straight up fuck off, they're giving the 200 IQ answer that nobody has ever heard before. Just show your emotions, bro. And I'm not dismissing this problem, okay? I've made videos talking about this. Oh, you're crying at your grandfather's funeral? Okay, faggot. And studies have shown that men are scared.
Yeah, it's kind of unfortunate that like I grew up in a time and a society in general where every single time, like as a kid or as a teenager, if I felt any sort of emotion, people would just tell me to man up. Like, what does that even mean anymore? To be fair, like, yeah, just man up. Like, I wasn't allowed to show my emotions. I just had to deal with things, right? It's why I shut down as a human being. I don't really tell people my issues anymore. I just kind of have to deal with it. Whenever I'm sad or lonely or depressed, I don't talk about it because I was raised as a man to forget those issues and just deal with it. Man up, right? As a man, we weren't allowed to show that, right? And that is unfortunately just still how some people are raised. It sucks.
To be vulnerable, even around the homies. And can you blame them when the media says stupid like this? Fellas, is it woke to open up to your fellow men and discuss history? Men are socialized to believe strength, dominance, and stoicism are behaviors of a real man. Is it any surprise that men are lonely and have less friends nowadays? You have to be vulnerable to make friends. Don't tell me there aren't systemic problems affecting men. Now, while a lot of this may be true, men have been socialized this way for centuries, and this is all relatively a new phenomenon. Toxic masculinity has existed forever. If anything, there's less toxic masculinity nowadays. The cultural embrace of like gender nonconformity, femboys, Harry Styles in a dress, Barbie movie, blah, 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 blah.
Harry Styles in a dress is a crazy response, but it kind of makes sense. Have you guys seen him in that dress, dude? He looks good.
Point is, toxic masculinity did not just appear in the mid-2010s, but social media did, and the internet did, and the rise of dating apps did, and the housing crisis, and living in a country where the wealth inequality is worse than it was during the Gilded Age. That all happened recently. Oh my god, the privileged life these poor little boys must have, that their biggest problem is being lonely, i.e. so insufferable that nobody wants to sleep with them. So much more pressing than the poor distribution of wealth causing people to suffer food and housing insecurity. Boo-hoo, you're lonely and have no friends and are suicidal, wah. Because feeling alienated under capitalism apparently isn't a thing. People are working hard.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's kind of a shitty way of looking at it, right? Like just not addressing or acknowledging the fact that someone feels lonely just because as a society we're all fucked anyway is just kind of bad, right? In regards to fix it yourself, there are women who tell other men to do better, but when men also have problems, they are all too willing to be callous about it. That's not what equality is. That is a fair way of looking at it. True. Feminists blame men for creating the patriarchy, but women also contributed to its creation as well. Have you seen how long it takes for a person to start losing it without human contact? What is it, like 24 hours? That's how I feel all the time.
Harder and longer while wages have been stagnant. Men have been dropping out of college like flies. And what does that get you? Poor men. Which, since women are doing amazing in college now, and many are now out-earning men, this most of the time leads to single men, which then leads to lonely men, which leads to depressed men, which leads to the high rate. In my opinion, leftism at a policy level does a great job addressing the shitty material conditions that in part lead to the problems that men are facing, but then absolutely drops the ball when it comes to everything and anything related to men's cultural issues. Many such cases. And why would a struggling man even want to move left when the left appears actively hostile to them?
The question of whether or not the hashtag online left is enough to appeal to hashtag men has become the question du jour. And like, men have most of the money, authority, and do most of the murdering and assaulting.
The average young man in America isn't just—
That is a crazy sentence. That's probably the craziest sentence I've heard out loud today. Holy mother of God. What are we watching?
Bezos. Also, why did this motherfucker just FBI crime statistics at me? Men do the most murder. Okay.
They like having all of the stuff they don't deserve. They like that. They want it to stay that way because it.
Are you saying that men like having stuff that they don't deserve? Are you saying that people in general don't like having things that they don't deserve? Because I feel like that is just a societal thing. I feel like if you gain access to something that you probably just didn't work for, you'd probably be a little happy about it. I mean, you might feel guilty, but like you'd still be like, damn, I did that, right? And I don't know in what context they're talking about it, but like in the context of like, I don't know, man. If someone walked in here with ice cream right now and I didn't pay for it, I'd be very happy.
It suits them. Because of the stuff, telling people they're special and deserve all the nice shit that they have, that's going to be an easier sell 10 times out of 10 than like saying, hey, maybe you should have less stuff and other people should have more.
Leftism is when you don't have a lot of stuff. We're gonna take your stuff. You sound like a—
What the hell type of analogy is that, bro? Hold on a second. All right, listen. All right, I'm not gonna say that I'm a leftist or a rightist. What do you even call these people anymore? My point is, I just think having a lot of stuff doesn't make you a bad person. And I'm not only saying that because I have a lot of stuff, but I'm saying that because I don't know what I'm trying to defend anymore. Like, it's a weird take to have, right? It is a weird take to have. I am not an anarchist, chat. Don't say that.
65-year-old Fox News boomer's idea of what the left is. Are you a CIA agent? The right is saying to men, you will own a house. You will have beautiful children with your loving wife. You will have privacy. You will—
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like people like Andrew Tate are literally out here, like, again, affirming men. Like these are the things that you can't have. Whereas like, you know, maybe the left, I don't know for sure, aren't really doing that. They're like, yo, dude, what the heck? You're a man. Gross. Ew, go do some other things. And that is the issue. That's the issue that I've had with it as well, where you know, I think I will agree with a lot of parts of this video that like we're screwing over the younger generation by just, you know, not affirming them in better ways. Like when you leave it up to the other people like Andrew Tate to affirm them, they will follow a lot of their other values when you're not affirming them yourself, you know? So,
yeah.
yeah.
Have free speech. You will own things and you will be happy. And the left is like,
they like having all of the stuff they don't deserve.
But don't get me wrong, Republicans will not do shit. The Republican Party will not do shit. The establishment in general will not do shit to help any of this. But the right is at least rhetorically offering men something other than nothing or the eternal HR department. Every time this Discord comes up, there's people like, we need a leftist Andrew Tate. We need masculine role models on the left. But the fact is, it's hard for progressives to organically appeal to men because a large part of progressivism is oppressive hierarchies, and men are oppressors. Making progressivism look appealing to young men is an uphill battle from the start. And although it's funny to laugh at insane people on Twitter, as always, there have been a lot of left-wing content creators talking about men's issues. If you would have told me this would be a thing 9 years ago, I would not believe you, because anyone talking about men's issues back in the day was called an MRA or a pick-me. But lately I have seen a lot of good pro-men lefty content, and I'll put some links to some below. I don't agree with all the points they say, but I recommend watching. It's much better.
Who are the people that she's recommended in this video? Because I kind of want to know. All right, like who is she recommending? Okay, the emotional objectification of men. You know, Andrew Tate, how to be a real man. That's a crazy one. This is actually an Andrew Tate video. There's no way.
Today, I'd like—
No, okay, thank God. It's not an actual Andrew Tate video. It's a video by some person named Sean. Just crazy cool. The thought slime doesn't care if—
broadly speaking, the goal of—
Is this Vosh? This is Vosh. Okay, that kind of makes sense. Didn't Vosh get in trouble recently for something else? I don't remember. Stop victim blaming men. What is this?
Let's talk about something we don't talk about too often. Let's
Sharky0. Interesting. Okay, well, I mean, I guess those are channels that you guys can go ahead and check out if you want. But yeah, like obviously I think that it is important that we have more people maybe like this that affirm more men. I'm not gonna be the one to do it. I'm gonna be real with you. Like I'm too lazy to do that. Listen, dude, figure your shit out. Which makes me sound like most of the people on left, but like genuinely speaking, yeah.
Better than—
they like having all of the stuff they don't deserve.
But the issue is a lot of this lefty pro-men content, it's always framed around How do we get them? As if men are just pawns and tools for your personal politics. How do we make the left more appealing to men? How do we stop lonely men from moving to Andrew Tate? Instead of just, how do we help men? And I think that's a really big issue. Both sides seem to treat men as political fodder. Disposable soldiers in the culture war and real war. Anyway, misandry is real. Oh good, finally! And while it doesn't systemically affect cis men, it most certainly affects trans men. Oh. Y'all talking about misandry doesn't harm men, and trans men are right there reading this shit, by the way. I see, now we only care about misandry because it affects trans men. Everyone stop! It's affecting a group I care about now. I love how the rhetoric just like evolved overnight from male tears to cis male tears. And I just have to ask, why aren't you including trans men in your misandry,
Yeah, like that just seems a little weird, right? Like it just seems like a very, very interesting thing to avoid, because not like, I think the important thing for a lot of people to point out is that like, if you want trans men to be considered men, which they are, I do believe that, you not including them in your weird leftist politics and policies, does that necessarily mean that you don't see them as men? I don't know. Maybe I'm looking into it a little bit too much. Like that just, it seems like the implication. And maybe it's not like an intentional implication, but it is still one, right?
Nobody told me how lonely being a man is. We knew what depth felt like before we transitioned. We knew what it felt like to like have people want to hug us and to have people want to talk to us and to have a community. And then you transition and you're just a guy walking down the street that people cross the street so that they're not near you. And friendships are so much harder to build. What's hard is none of this invalidates how real and raw women and people who are in marginalized groups feel about cis white men. All of that's valid. But I also now understand why the suicide rate is so much higher in men.
Welcome to being a man. Here's your complimentary isolation and yellow pillow. I love how even when he's
that's actually just very sad, like genuinely speaking. But I understand. Like, unfortunately, someone that transitioned and just suddenly has to deal with that stuff, it's probably a lot harder because like you're new to feeling this way. But I'm sure a lot of us watching who are men who were, born and didn't have to transition or whatever, like we felt this way probably our entire life, right? And we've just gotten used to it, and that sucks. That actually just
experiencing the issues of being a man. He's like, this doesn't invalidate people hating men. Come on, bro. Men struggling don't want to be lectured about the patriarchy. They don't want to be told it's all their fault. They don't want to be told they're part of the problem, because first of all, they're not. The average 20-year-old didn't build society. They go to work, come home, off to sissy hypno fetish porn, and go to bed like everyone else. I've talked
what are 20-year-olds doing? What?
About this before, but a lot of men's value comes from the money they make, unfortunately. Men are natural providers, and if they
that is actually unfortunately so goddamn true, dude. Like, I feel so invalidated as a man if I'm not making money, and it is the worst feeling ever, right? Like, again, I talked about this earlier on my stream, and maybe I'll mention it here. Like, I have a friend, her name's Bella. She's coming to visit me, and she and I are gonna go hang out. And we came to the conversation of like us going out to get drinks, and she was telling me how like she wanted to get free drinks from other guys and stuff like that. And for a minute I was joking when I told her this. Like, I told her, I was like, well, but I want to be the one to like, buy those drinks for her, right? Now, to be fair, like if she wants other people to buy her drinks, that's fine. Like, obviously that saves me money. But I guess there still is some truth in the fact that like, yeah, I would like to buy her drinks because I, at the end of the day, want to be the provider. It's just how I was raised as a man, I guess. I want to be the guy that provides for a woman in my life, if that makes sense. And that might be a stupid way of thinking about things and navigating through life, but it's just how I was raised. But it's not like it's the end all be all for me. At least I recognize, hey, it is a good thing if other people are buying her drinks because I could save money. So I'm okay with that.
They have nobody to provide for. They get into findom or send random girls on the internet money. I'm just kidding. But the fact is, a lot of men simply feel like they don't have a purpose anymore. Whether a job or a career that's fulfilling and pays well, or a woman or family to protect and take care of and provide for, men are lacking purpose. And a man will crawl through broken glass for a purpose. But you know who does make them feel like they have a purpose? No.
I say that life as a man is exceptionally difficult. I say the most beautiful and the most terrifying thing about being a man is you're born without value. Society doesn't care about you.
The absolute audacity to act shocked that Andrew Tate is scooping these guys up after a decade of lol male tears is insane. Andrew Tate isn't the solution to men's problems, but he is talking to them. The fact is, you did not.
Yeah, he's kind of like a band-aid on the problem right now. I mean, the issue's just gonna get worse, but he's the only person trying to fix it. Now, his solutions are definitely the wrong ones. I mean, rightfully so. Isn't he going to prison for like trafficking or something like that? But like, at least he's trying to help, if I could say that.
Not care about them for years. And even now you just want to recruit them, not help them. And that's why you will fail. And hey, maybe I'll be the Andrew Tate of the left. Men, listen up. Wash your penis. So I guess I'll leave you guys with a question. Why do you think male loneliness has been increasing? What are your solutions for this problem? And are you dealing with loneliness? And I will see you guys next time with a new video.
I actually don't know what the solution would be, genuinely speaking, as a man. I mean, to be fair, I'm 31, so like my mentality on the situation is that I've already lived through it and I've had to unlearn those things as my life has gone by. And I am so glad that I have had people in my life, you know, slowly teach me over time how to be better. But like, if I could grow up in a different environment and have certain things change or be taught to me earlier, I definitely would have done it. And I don't know who's going to be willing to take up that mantle. It's definitely not going to be me, but I do my best over on my streams at twitch.tv/Evanit0, where I record these videos live, where I try to educate people as best I can and then let them know how I feel about certain things. And maybe you could vibe at what I'm saying. Maybe you could understand where I'm coming from. But I think that as a man, you are valued, man. Women watching this as well, anyone watching this in general, I value you as a person. And I think that you should take care of yourself and also wash your penis. Take care. Peace out. Have a wonderful night. Original video is linked in the description down below. But subscribe to the channel if you want more videos like this, because we record these on my stream. I'll see you guys next time tomorrow, technically. Bye. Bye, guys.